Speaking of Bloomington, here's Mr. Bloomington, Chronic Hoosier, joining us now here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hope you're doing well. Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays, Jim. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Dustin Schutte, of course, with us from Outsider.com, as always, as enjoying the bowl season. We were talking about that's not so much fun. Earlier, we were talking IU basketball with Don Fisher and we had iguanas in the break we were talking about. But two things that I do want to hit on and not forget is, but the first, I'm going to get to the first one first because I don't want to forget this. Anthony Leal, if you haven't seen what he did, I guess for Christmas for his sister, pretty damn cool story. You can go to Rivals, the Hoosier.com. There's a story up there about it. But he used whatever amount of his NIL money to pay off her student loans. And that's a pretty cool thing to do. It was a pretty cool damn thought to begin with. And so, but what a great thing to see.
Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest things I've seen on Twitter. And I'm a sucker for for the scholarship videos when the walk-ons have it announced to the team or whomever that they're getting a scholarship. This was a whole nother level though of that same vein. Lauren, Anthony's older sister, was a hell of a basketball player here in Bloomington South, went on to play at DePaul, and really good baller. She had a series of unfortunate injuries. I believe she had some knee issues, and as a result, she's racked up a decent amount of student loan debt. And to see Anthony give his sister a life unencumbered, basically how he described it, without restrictions or being held back by that debt.
And let me tell you, people, that's a big deal.
Oh my gosh. And, people forget about, we now have more student loan debt than America holds in mortgage loan debt. I mean, think about that. It's bonkers what the higher educational industry has become as far as a source of debt. It's now the largest source of debt in the United States. And, every generation that hill gets a little bit steeper because everything's getting more expensive. Wages are still depressed. And now you've got this, effectively a mortgage to start your life with before you actually have a home. In terms of the debt that a lot of these students are graduating with. So for him to give her, it's still undisclosed. I've been told by someone, we're probably talking several tens of thousands of dollars. To wipe that off of her balance is just unbelievably selfless. A testament to just how life-changing NIL can be for these athletes, because Anthony is found himself lost on the end of the bench, and for him to be able to come up with that amount of cash simply by virtue of being an Indiana basketball player is nothing short of remarkable, not to mention the way he chose to use that. So kudos to Anthony. Huge kudos to Martin and Sherry Leal, his parents, both long time IU employees. I believe they're over at the foundation. His mom had originally shared that, and I think she titled it Top 5 Parenting Moment. And I'm sitting here looking at my kids praying they don't murder each other on any given day, especially over the holidays when they're locked under the same roof. And just what a remarkable testament to the parenting in that household that, little brother would do something like that for big sis. Brought out the tears in my house Christmas morning for sure.
And that's
it's just a great story. Yeah, go ahead, Dustin. But what a great story.
It is a great story. And this is the kind of stuff that I feel like we see this. It's not just Anthony Leal. We've seen it from a lot of other guys from a lot of sports across college athletics. But these are the kind of things when people critique or criticize NIL, these are the things that I feel like get lost. These are the opportunities that sometimes get lost. And I understand that there's a lot of gray area with name, image, and likeness and that sort of stuff. But there are a lot of student athletes who do some really good things with the money that they earn, and they don't have to. They don't have to is basically what it boils down to. So NIL has been a really good thing, and we see a lot of these kinds of stories, and it's just awesome to see but 18 to 22-year-olds being so selfless with this kind of income.
Yeah, and this is something that you've seen. Anthony Leal has remained extraordinarily positive. Just a great role model for the community, for the state. You always see him taking pictures with kids, with campers, in the classrooms. These guys do a lot of work off the court in and around the community, and it's long past time that they actually get financial compensation for their efforts, for the partnerships that they're able to form. Because previously, like the colleges, everybody else has kind of been peddling off of their reputation. So for them to be able to capitalize on it, it's pretty dang cool. Even cooler to see the way he chose to apply it, because we just saw last week Fino showed up at practice with Bose headphones for the entire team, and it reminded me of the remember the old, it was isotoner gloves, Dan Marino buying his line, taking care of the hands that take care of me. It kind of had that feel to it. And it was like, that's all well and good. I don't know what a pair of Bose costs, but I'm sure they're a couple of hundo each. And I was like, that's pretty generous of them. And then to turn around and a couple of days later to see this gesture was just is nothing short of unbelievable and amazing. But I think it also speaks to the power of what NIL can do, because if a guy like Leal can come up with that kind of cash, imagine what somebody a little higher up the depth chart or on the rotation is pulling in right now. And the lives that can be changed within their households, their immediate circles, it's extraordinarily important that these kids have those opportunities, because we've seen for decades now kids being forced to choose. Do I continue to pursue my degree, keep playing college, or I go chase that money? And IU has, we saw James Blackman. He decided he was going to go play ball in Europe. We've had a lot of guys who had, I guess Blackman didn't have eligibility. Never mind that. We've had guys who did have eligibility that chose to go play overseas because at the end of the day, they had families to support. So now that they have the opportunity to take care of their business, literally and metaphorically, and still have the opportunity to stay and complete their degree, I think it's just testament to how important NIL is in this new day and age.
And Anthony is the only scholarship player that's not under the Hoosiers for Good banner. So he is totally independent, doing his own thing. So he's probably pulling in, I don't want to say the least, because I don't know, but he doesn't have that, which is usually the bigger chunk of things. But he's a smart kid. I remember before the season started, when I was talking to him, one of the things he told me that he has his realtor's license, and I'm thinking. And especially after posting or after seeing what he did, the dude is going to own. I feel sorry for the rest of the brokers, the real estate agents in Bloomington. Once he gets out, it's over, baby. He's going to own that city. He's going to own that town.
Yeah, he's a Kelly kid, man. You can't turn your back on those guys. They're going to go dominate the world just as soon as you let them out of the gate. So just unbelievably good on him, good on his family. And good on everybody that's supporting these guys along the way. I think Anthony's got a deal with a local tire company. I know previously he had done some stuff with Suits, just out there hustling, getting hits. So good on him. And I can't wait to see where this takes everybody down the road.
Earlier we were talking to Don Fisher, Dustin and myself, and the best way to put the gist of the conversation for me was, Indiana basketball is just no longer playing Indiana basketball. They didn't do it under Archie Miller, of course, but I'm still not really seeing that second year now. It's still a confusing look at times. Right now, I know that there's injuries that play into that. But even before that, there was, we talked about the lack of effort in games, the lack of fight. And I don't get it, because you've got a head coach that played under that circumstance. But my worry is that there is a contingent of advisors, like 4 of them, that are all NBA type coaching, and that includes Randy Whitman, who was an IU guy, but he was an NBA coach, a front office guy. So I'm wondering, is there just too much NBA, whether it's style of play or whatever it is, but it's not that the toughness is not being brought in. And I think in the NBA, you're either tough or you're not.
Well,
it's probably the same in college, though. You're either tough or you're not, but we're not seeing that. Not seeing the fight, and it's disappointing. I know it's disappointing for IU fans.
Here, I'm just going to chime in really quick. It's number one, the fight, but number two, the offense in the NBA is vastly different, a lot of times anyway, from the college game. And the other, I guess, confusion is what I would call it, in the half-court offense is very concerning to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know necessarily that it's tough to put your finger on, I guess. I think the overarching thing that I'm feeling right now is at times they have shown a tremendous lack of discipline on the offensive side. And what I mean by that is they clearly have game plans. They clearly have sets they're trying to run, things they're trying to do, concepts they're trying to employ. Where I think the frustration really sets in is, one, it's difficult at times to discern what it is they're trying to do. And, the waters have gotten even more muddy with these, with the injuries and the absences, the holdouts here over the last couple of games. But I think when you see them so frequently break down, become stymied, it gets stagnant real quick, real easy. And I think that speaks volumes to how important the guard play is for this team, as well as for all college teams right now. But more specifically, when you look at Indiana, it's just a lack of creativity, in my opinion. When I say a lack of discipline, what are we doing out here? When you see, 4 guys standing around the arc and, several of them don't move more than 2-3 feet in any direction during the entire set, we're certainly not employing all the assets on the floor at any given time. And it makes them extraordinarily easy to defend. It puts a premium on not just the shot making, but when and where the shots are coming from, who's getting them. And it's unfortunately something that Indiana fans have grown accustomed to over the last several years that right now doesn't look like it's really it's not really improving a whole lot. So I'm gonna continue to hold my breath a little bit on this one as we look to see who becomes available when, how quickly we get some guys back, but also as we settle into conference play here in the coming week, just where exactly Indiana fits right now in the Big Ten, because for what most of us felt like was going to be a relatively down year in the Big Ten, with a great opportunity for Indiana to capitalize and enjoy some success. Right now, all bets are off on my book. I'm not exactly sure where they fall right now, but I pretty much have them pegged about in the middle of the league, maybe the top half of the middle, but still pretty squarely in the middle until proven otherwise. So a lot of question marks, a lot more question marks than I anticipated having at the new year. But that's where Indiana is right now, and hopefully they're taking this time off. I imagine everybody's back on campus or soon to get back on campus and start getting some stuff moving in the same direction, because for the promise that we've had so far this year, I'm still not sure this is a team that's going to be in contention come into February, March, when the Big Ten title's decided.
I agree, and you're obviously not alone. There was too many of us who expected the same thing, but a lot of it we didn't know a lot about the other Big Ten teams. But these teams have just played harder, and you look at a team like Purdue, and they're just playing very, very well together. Even if they lose a game, which they have not done so yet, they're playing so well as a team. And I remember earlier someone said, "Oh, Purdue plays too many freshmen." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever. Those freshmen are doing pretty damn well. They're not playing like freshmen, so I don't care what year they are." But either way, their system, it's working. You got Iowa, it's working. This and going to Iowa for Indiana, they're gonna, if they don't bring it there, they're going to be 1-2 in the Big Ten already, and that's not what you're looking for in a team that you were thinking of that can compete for a title in the Big Ten, having already lost their first 2 road games, because you've got some tough ones that are still coming.
Oh, no doubt. Right now Indiana's in a 5-way tie for 6, and I understand we're only 2 games into the season, but you can get lost in that pack really, really quickly here if you don't take care of your business, and especially with 3 of the first Big Ten games on the road. You got to go to Iowa City, to Penn State, and then over to the Spaceship, with a visit from Wisconsin and Northwestern at home mixed in between those. So this is going to be critically important if Indiana truly does have aspirations, that they steal some games on the road, and they absolutely have to protect home court. But in order to do that, especially with the test like Iowa's going to pose, you're going to have to put some points up, and you're going to have to do that in bunches, because right now I don't think you can trust this defense, especially beyond the arc, to keep the game tight enough that you can withstand a sluggish offensive night in an unfriendly environment, particularly when the whistles aren't going your way, and perhaps when the shots aren't falling. So Woodson's going to have to figure some stuff out, and they're going to have to do it quick. And we saw it against Kennesaw State, where it was just really, really ugly offensive basketball, and then in the second half they move Race up to the top of the key, and it just opens everything up. As refreshing as that was, I'm sitting here scratching my head going, at what point in the first half did you recognize the game plan's not working, and why did it take so long to make some adjustments? So hopefully, just like we saw at the end of last season with the introduction of the pick and roll between X and Trace, we see them continue to introduce some more wrinkles that make them a little more dynamic offensively. But quite frankly, they've been few and far between at this point in the season. So with less personnel available right now, we'll see exactly how creative they get, but it's going to take some scheming if Indiana's going to have a chance to compete.
This has been, with the injury to Trace Jackson Davis and the precautionary route that they've been taking with him, excellent opportunity for Malik Reneau to get quality minutes, because his learning curve is kind of flattened out, I guess is the best way to say that, or his production curve is flattened out a little bit, I guess you'd say, as the competition has ramped up a little bit. Yeah, he's a freshman, I get it. He's got to get to know, but he's got to continue to improve, and we're still seeing kind of a flat line with him.
Yeah, I think for a lot of freshmen, there comes that point, once you get out of the cupcakes and you start getting into the stiffer competition, you recognize just how different this game is from the high school game. And recognizing he's played the high school game at the highest level, that's all well and good. But when you come out there, especially as a true freshman, the guys are not only bigger, stronger, faster, having had that higher level of strength and conditioning over the last 4 or 5 years. They're just more experienced. They're more crafty. And I don't think you can discount how important experience is. And for Reneau, that learning curve is so incredibly short right now, simply because he's not been given the minutes probably that he needs. I mean that not by the coaching staff, but just for his terms of his availability with the foul issues he's run into. He really hasn't gotten a chance to get both his feet fully immersed in these waters, simply because he's struggled to stay on the floor. So he's going to have to clean that up while keeping his aggressiveness, because I think that's really something that separates Reneau from a lot of guys. He's got one of those motors that reminds me a lot of Thomas Bryant, just an extraordinarily high energy guy with a big frame. But unfortunately, you've got to keep that razor's edge between aggressiveness and fouling, and he's going to get baited quite a bit as he goes on the road here. And recognizing now that he's got that film out there, guys know he's bait. He is referee bait 100%, and he's going to have to be able to avoid that, particularly if Trace is going to be absent for any extended period of time.